Morning, everyone. I'm about to present our solution for this PCP HSMonitor, which is called HyperHealth. I'm here with my two colleagues, Jacopo Dolcini and Alfonso Perillo, respectively from Tech4Care, like me. Jacopo is a clinical consultant, and Perillo is a developer at Jason SRL, which developed a module of our solution. I'll try to go as quick as possible because we have a lot of material. This is the system architecture. It's composed by 4 main modules. There is a decision support system powered AI bot, which basically it's responsible of connecting a mobile app that we gave to the patients on which they can record their measurements and they can follow up the healthy lifestyle advices from doctors. A set of IoT devices provided by WeThings, and a clinical platform, which is the main tool from the clinicians to overview and follow up the activities of the telemonitored patients. The system components in a more in-depth overview, to which I also added here in this slide the HyperHealth web portal website, which, as I will say in a while, it's dedicated to, let's say, the non-severe patient or the not yet diagnosed patient. So like the regular citizens. This website is composed by 3 main sub-modules: an academy in which we collected training materials free to browse and to watch, mainly in the form of videos to all the citizens, a risk score calculator that is used to understand if there is some sign of chronicity or any way of hypertension detected, and the community forum in which the citizens, but also patients later on, when they are included in the pilot and in the system, can share their experience. And there is the clinical web platform, which is the tool for the clinician, like I said before, and the mobile app for patient, which is called Saltiverse, and is characterized by the fact that it's a mobile app that is highly gamified. That is the, let's say, the paradigm and the approach that we decided to use for this project. I leave briefly the word to Jacopo to describe the patient certification that we use.
Yes, just a few words. As you can see here from this slide, the patients have been stratified according to risk development and following the prevention rules. So we divided them in primary prevention, people at early prevent, people that without a clear diagnosis of hypertension, and then secondary prevention, so people with high risk factor, but still not yet diagnosed with hypertension, and then tertiary prevention, people with a clear diagnosis of hypertension, divided into the last 2 parts with and to provide proper control of their hypertension and to prevent possible complication. And according to this, the platform can be set with different features to answer all the different problems and requested by the patient that have been divided according to their risk score.
Thank you. So let's spend some few words on the citizen perspective, which is the first certification that we described just a while ago. I was mentioning before the HyperHealth web portal, and I already said that it contained 3 main blocks. The HyperHealth Academy that contains video library of training materials and useful links to follow for a healthy lifestyle. The risk score calculator, which is the main tool that is directed to basically detect if there is some sort of hypertension of whatever grade that can be spotted, and in that case directs the patient, the citizen, let's say, directly to our repository to download the app and to enter in the system. And the community on which you can see that red marks beside there, because according to different discussion that we had with the various procurers around the overall project in different pilot sites, in the end, it was slightly used, if not completely not used at all. Then we can go to the patient perspective, where we can briefly overview the main features of Saltyverse. It's a mobile app for both Android and iOS. It can be downloaded and installed in two different flavors. There is the light version, which is mainly oriented to provide the basic functionality for telemonitoring and self-measurement of health parameters, as well as to give the access to the Web Academy, which is the same that we described before for the HyperHealth portal, and to give access to the mandatory training, mandatory surveys that we should have administered for each patient for the start and the end of the pilot cycle. The pilot phase. And then there is the full version, which is fully gamified and which will provide advanced functionalities like augmented reality and geocaching games, quests, and so on. We will see it in a while. Let's have a look at the main radial dashboard of the light version of the Saltyverse, which is in the end is the mostly used throughout all the pilot sites. It's divided in 7 different slices. Each one is aimed at giving control and overview on a specific health parameter among the one that we decided to make relevant for this project. Of course, the most important one is the blood pressure, but we also gave the chance to the patient to monitor its weight and calculating automatically the BMI. Its activity with steps and activity count, the sleep on the form of the number of hours slept and number of wake-ups, the diet, providing a very simple survey to indicate to the clinician their dietary nutritional habits, the therapy that is providing the administration tool for signal to the doctor if they have they are following the medication therapy, and the habits to provide another simple survey for indicating habits about smokes, salt assumption, alcohol assumption. This paradigm is, of course, has been considered the most viable to make sure that the patient can self-report both manually and automatically their data, both from the devices, but also from other data sources that are available and that we will explain later on when we speak about the clinical platform. The hardware involved in the project is, as I already mentioned, the IoT devices provided from Withings, that can be connected either via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, that provide accurate measurements, are medically certified, and can also provide another important set of, let's say, secondary statistics that are not considered relevant in the clinical platform, but that can be downloaded as a dump of data anyway. And then we also provided to the patients that they requested a mobile phone that can be able to give a full functionality for the full version of the Saltyverse, so also for the gamified and the augmented reality features. Again, here some more insight on the mobile application for patients. So the two main blocks, the one for the effective chronic condition management, which is anyway directed to grade 1 and grade 2 hypertensive patient, and the gamification module, which provides tools for hopefully augmenting, that was our course, our hope and our paradigm that we choose for the development of this app, that provide more commitment and means for remaining adherent especially for what concerns the physical activity, which is, of course, one of the important pillars of the healthy lifestyle for the hypertensive patient. Few words on the digital twin paradigm. Basically, we using the information and the paradigm from video gaming and from role-playing game, we transposed the 7 slices that we described before, that you can see on the left part of the slide, to 7 parameters of a character, a digital character, a digital twin, which is a representation of the patient, and that is also represented by colored gauges that in real time, depending on the measurement taken from the person with the app, can change to represent the current status on that specific parameter. The main goal, of course, of the perfect Saltingworth patient, Saltingworth user, was to keep all that gauges at the maximum for as much time as possible. Again, here with some GIFs, animated GIFs, we can see some of the application in motion. In the first one, you see the normal everyday feature of adding and inserting health parameters. In this case, it is a weight measurement inserted manually. And then in the central one, there are the quests that can be undertaken for the patient that is decided to use the gamified version of the application. And in the third one, there is a leaderboard on which each patient can share his result, his badges, and his score points with the other persons eventually involved in the project. Again, another slide that shows the effort that we put in designing the villains and the enemies of this journey through the fighting the hypertension. We cooperated with the comic book artist that provided us very nicely done design that we then with our developers animated and inserted in this augmented reality geocached video game inside the application. Okay, let's continue with the clinician perspective. I briefly described already the clinical platform a few instances ago, and so I leave now the word to my colleague Valentino Perillo to continue describing the feature of the clinical platform.
Hello to everyone. As Mauro just said, I'm Valentino Perillo from Jason Estrel, and we are the partner that provided the development of the clinical web platform. And the clinical web platform is developed to provide everything is needed for the clinical management of hypertensive patients' care plans or total risk by the clinicians. Briefly, the platform is divided in clinical record management tools to create and manage the care plan of the patients, and smart dashboard and decision support system for, first of all, monitoring the compliance of the patient's adherence to the care plan, and the support system for the management of the arterial hypertensions. And then a system to data analysis, the data are received from the IoT devices. As you can see in the slide, the platform is cloud ready, so it can be easily installed on the cloud. And already we have installed the pilots in the territory of Italy, Sweden, Croatia, and Turkey, and all of them, but the Turkey have installed on Azure. But the Turkey is installed on the virtual machine in the Ministry of Turkey. The platform follows the GDPR guidelines to manage the data, saved on the databases. And the platform have the following feature to manage and create the care plans for the patients, and can give the ability to the clinician to insert the patients inside the databases to collect the data and thank you to the feature we have, the platform give a system to have a care process for the clinicians, where we now will show the most important of ones. Onto there are can the first one is the prioritization of patients based on validatory scores. They can, when the clinician is logged, the first thing that the clinician will see after logging in the platform is a list of the patients that there are currently taken in. Showing that to the higher risk to the mildest for following the philosophy of higher risk actual to higher priority. The clinician have the possibility to select a preferred list of patients shortcuts to help to see very quickly terminal set of patients, and the list have the possibility have the features to help the clinician to briefly see the last record of data collected by the devices. Then we have the platform allows for the complementation of blood pressure and targets and analysis of the patients through the CDSS, which obtain the clinical data processes, the clinical data, processes it and returns therapeutic recommendation to improve the person health condition. And show a complete dashboard of summarizing the patient status with a minimum data set required for the risk calculation, and a history of the risk level changes with data two-ways integration with national HRR. The CDS, the clinical decision support system, follow the guidelines of the European Society of Hypertension, and every time when the data is updated is every time when the data is updated is analyzes the values and give back updated set of targets. The platform allows the clinician even to set the personalized system of targets to the patients. So the targets can be personalized for each patient, and after the updated is the ranges are the risk level is visually adapted in real time. Then we have the therapy management with drug-to-drug interaction and a drug-to-food interaction, where when a clinician insert a new therapy for the patients, the system checks automatically if the active therapies are already registered for the patients. if the drugs have a risk interaction to the patient, if the can do harm or not. So the system will alert the clinicians about the risks, about the interaction of different drugs, different drugs administered to the patients. And this database for the pharmaceutical data is provided is provided by our third-party provider, Vademecum.
Just a small detail more, but the Mecum is a subcontractor that we contact with, especially for providing databases of information for drug-to-drug and drug-to-food interaction, not specifically for providing the drug database itself.
And last of all, the platform give the ability to the clinician to monitoring the adherence of the patients to the care plan, showing the data in a form of charts, or even a list if we the clinician focus on different chart when the clinician focus on each different chart. And then give them the possibility to see the feedback of lifestyle and diet service, and give even the possibility to give the patients diet administration to help to fight the hypertension. Now I give the speech again to the battle again to Mauro.
Thank you, Valentino. So we saw briefly all the features. The main feature, actually, there were more, but we had to cut out something for remain in the timing of the presentation. The main feature of the clinical platform, we can speak about a little bit about the pilot phase implementation with our solution. I want to spend a few words on the work that we have done on language localization that, of course, touched all the modules and all the materials that we included inside both Salty Wars, the gamified version, the not gamified version, the training materials, the drug databases, which of course we didn't translate it ourselves directly, but we anyway worked on the implementation of the different language in the different installation of the platform, and also the mandatory questionnaire for starting and ending the pilot phase, which again is not our direct translation work, but has been provided by the project management coordination by Empirica, and then we just implemented it in the different installation. So on the right side, you can see a couple of screenshots that give a brief presentation of the material that we used for instructing the patient on the main functionalities and the main actions that should be done on a daily basis using the application. The second one is a video tutorial that we provided both on YouTube and inside the mobile application, again, to provide the training information for the patients. And the third one is the software that we use for the localization, which is a CMS system online that we use to translate all the currencies, both in the UI and in the content pages of all the software that we use. It's called Traduo and is hosted on our servers directly. Then, starting from the beginning, we provided the documentation and basically created this documentation together with the clinical personnel and the local research assistants at procureur site. This is a brief overview of what it could be a process of an enrollment of one patient inside the solution. This is the procedure that we try to use and to follow every time we involve the patient to be sure that everything is set up both from the point of view of the technical installations of the devices, of the software, or on the patient's mobile phone or on one of our provided mobile phones, and at the same time to provide the minimum to mid-level range, of training material and training knowledge that can be used by the patient efficiently in the following months of the pilot phase to minimize, of course, the occurrences of dropouts or of iteration or follow-up on it. This is a brief overview still about the enrollment, especially depicting the starting and the ending date on each pilot site and the number of patients that we managed to involve. We and the procure personnel together managed to involve in each pilot site, and then whether the support that has been provided to this phase, to the patient enrollment phase, was provided by us, especially provided by us together with the personnel from the consortium, from the procure side, if it was remote or if it was an on-site support during the enrollment. Then, of course, there is the follow-up and maintenance activity that we did throughout the pilot duration, and that we are still doing because, as some of our colleagues before mentioned, that in some of the pilot site, pretty much all of the pilot site except Turkey, this phase is still ongoing. We use different tools for approaching and for providing support for the follow-up, depending on the agreements and on the different situation of the patient population on the pilot site and on the personnel available on the pilot site itself. We use the phone support, we use the WhatsApp group. We also held the physical meetings for reminding people the basic functionalities for doing like brief training, iteration training sessions, and also for solving their technical issues, their ad hoc technical issues. We also use the support ticket, the semi-automated support ticket that we have efficiently used to circulate the information about a specific technical issue from one side to all the other procure side and all the other personnel that is taking care about the follow-up in the other procure side. So this is greatly help. And of course, sometimes we also, together with our partner Jason, did some direct remote intervention, either in the clinical platform itself, following some suggestion or some notification of issues made by the clinicians to our personnel, or also directly on the different releases of SolutiWorks that we continued to provide throughout the duration of the pilot, whenever there was an issue and there was something that would be improved. About the offboarding, which is starting in a while on 3 pilot sites, and that will be slightly postponed for what concern Lombardy. We want to also provide a sort of a checklist document on which we can, together with the procurers, decide and agree on a minimum set of actions and workflow that should be done for correctly offboarding each patient, making sure that his or her data set would be maximized whenever it will be the time to extract the data at the end. We are envisioning like 20-30 minutes per patient. It can be done in person or over the phone. The main activities that should be done, except for all the clinical, I'm talking about the the technicalities, of course, here. We are not want to, of course, overcome the clinicians or the clinical personnel about the clinical responsibilities or the clinical needs when a patient should be afforded. But for what concerns just the technicalities, to be sure that everything goes as much good as possible, we want to provide this documentation. Then I leave again the word to my colleague Jacopo for speaking a little bit about the data that we are gathering.
Yes, just very few last words on the data. As you can see here from this data sheet, these are the variables collected among all our patients, and on the right side, the number of total observation collected. These observations actually are coming only for IoT devices, and highlighted in red, you can see those variables that are actually reported in the clinical platform. And in this graph, we can see the different amount of observation collected for those aforementioned variables, for those 6 variables, divided by countries. It's very important to underline that this is not a final version of the data, because in some geographical area, there is still an ongoing process of data collection until the end of July, and in some cases until the end of the year. Actually, we are not showing Turkish data because they ended their collection duties, and we delivered all the data to the project coordinator. So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you, and thank you very much.